Hello. So I wanted to talk to you all about feeling better. Now, when I say feeling better, I do not mean feeling happier and feeling more mushy-gushy feelings inside and alleviating sadness, alleviating anxiety. That's not what I mean. I mean learning to feel things better rather than focusing on getting ourselves to feel better, if that makes sense. And I apologize for the the video set that I'm using right now when I feel inspired to talk about these concepts. It's very rarely when I look nice and when I have a nice video set up behind me. So we just roll with the inspiration. So when we're talking about feeling better, one of the first things to talk about here is the fact that no other animal has trouble processing trauma. Humans are the only animal that have trouble processing trauma. Now, why that is because we are linguistic creatures. So in impala out in the wild that's getting chased by a lion, if that impala survives, it will go off by itself and it will shake its body violently until the energy of that fear has completely left its system. And when the energy of the fear is able to process itself, then there's no such thing as trauma. The reason why humans have trauma is because we're linguistic creatures, meaning that we tell stories about energy. Emotions are just energy in motion. And our bodies know intuitively how to metabolize energy in the same way that it knows how to metabolize food. We don't need to assist it in any way because it has that natural innate intelligence. The reason why we get in our body's own way of metabolizing emotion is because we have learned to tell stories about which emotions are good and bad and which emotions are right and wrong and which emotions we should be feeling and how we shouldn't be feeling. And because we tell stories about our emotion, because we tell stories about energy, we end up sabotaging our body's ability to metabolize that energy, and we get in the way of it and we thwart its natural metabolic process. Okay? Emotions are not inherently good or bad. This is a huge mental block for us to get past as humans. Emotions are literally just like electricity. There's no such thing as good electricity and bad electricity. It's just movement, it's just pulsation, it's just particles moving within us. It's just energy. It's not inherently good or bad. When we think that there's good emotions and there's bad emotions, what we end up doing is becoming attached to certain emotions and then becoming averse to other emotions. And when we're attached and averse, we end up creating this hostile environment within ourselves where we're constantly at a war with what's so. And when we believe that there are certain things that we should feel and that we're allowed to feel, and there are certain things that we shouldn't feel and we aren't allowed to feel, then what ends up happening is we start giving all of this power to our internal state. So we give power to our thoughts, and we tell a story about what it means that we're having that thought, what it means that we're still having this memory about this person, what it means that we feel tightness in our heart that we interpret as sadness. We tell a story about these truths, and then we give power to these circumstances, and we end up being in reactive mode. Meaning, reactive mode means when we forget that we are free to choose who we get to be in every moment, regardless of circumstances. So we think, oh, because I'm feeling this tightness in my heart, the reason I'm feeling this tightness in my heart is because I opened myself up and I allowed myself to be vulnerable and share myself with that person, and I got rejected. And therefore I'm feeling sad. And sadness is bad. And so therefore I'm not going to allow myself to be open and trusting and loving and vulnerable ever again because I'm unwilling to feel the sadness that's alive in my body right now. So we go into reactive mode. And we kill off certain ways of being. And we say, I'm not allowed to be vulnerable anymore. I'm not allowed to be trusting anymore. I'm not allowed to be loving. I'm going to protect myself by not being any of these ways. And as we go through life and we make more and more of these supposedly protective decisions, what we're really doing is we're just killing off our aliveness. Because the less willing we are to feel the underside of life, the less able we are to feel all the good of life as well. Because it's not really just that we get to choose to feel all the good emotions, we have to also simultaneously be willing to feel the loss and the sadness and the disappointment and the rejection. It has to simultaneously be happening in both directions, right? So when we use our linguistic abilities to tell a story about, oh, I'm never going to be this way again because that way of being led me to feel this feeling, and this feeling is bad, then we're really just killing off our aliveness, and we're numbing ourselves, and we're checking out of life, and we think that that's protecting us. But really, that's just like if you want to protect yourself by wearing a shield that has inward spikes. Yes, that shield might be protecting you from something outside of yourself, but it is constantly causing you pain with its inward spikes. And that's like when we decide, okay, so I'm not going to be open and loving and trusting and vulnerable in order to protect myself from ever having to feel rejection again. You might be less likely to experience rejection, although I don't even know if that's true. And also, you are causing yourself constant pain, the pain of killing off your aliveness and killing off your desire to be open and loving and trusting, and killing off your human need for connection. So you're inflicting constant pain on yourself in order to maybe avoid some temporary fleeting pain, right? And the stories that we tell about why we feel the emotions that we feel are not even accurate. An analogy that I like to use is this concept of taste aversion, right? So let's say that you ate pad thai and then you got food poisoning after you ate the pad thai. And you decide, okay, I'm never, ever going to eat pad thai again because all pad thai gives me food poisoning. So you develop taste aversion for pad thai and you feel nauseous even just looking at the pad thai, right? But that is a logical fallacy because the pad thai itself, there's no necessary correlation between pad thai and food poisoning and getting sick. That was a fluke. That happened once, and just because it happened in the past does not mean that it's going to happen again in the future, right? When we think about probability, if you flip a coin and it lands heads up 10 times in a row, that doesn't make it any less or more likely to land heads up the next time. It's still a 50% probability that it's going to land heads up the next time, right? But we make these false correlations. We make the false correlation between pad thai and sickness. We make the false correlation between allowing ourselves to be open, loving, vulnerable, and trusting and getting hurt and rejected. And so then we kill off the possibility of being who we really want to be because we think that that's going to protect us from feeling hurt again or feeling rejected in the future. So the solution to all of this is, rather than trying to avoid pain in life, which pain is a fact of life, pain is a sign of aliveness. The more intensity that you experience, it means the more alive you are. It means the more open you are to all of life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So rather than trying to numb the pain and avoid the pain, and rather than trying to sentence ourselves to these fixed ways of being that we think are going to prevent us from feeling pain, instead, the solution is to understand that everything that's alive within us is actually happening for us, right? So it's like when you go to the gym and you're lifting weights. It hurts to lift weights because it's sending an electric current through your muscles, but that electric current is making you stronger. So the pain that we feel in our internal state, the sadness and the disappointment and the frustration and the failure and all of that, we've judged that and labeled it and self-sabotaged using our linguistic capabilities to say that that all is bad and wrong, when really all it is an electric current being shot through our nervous system, which is actually strengthening our nervous system, and it is carving out space for us to feel more good and to feel more abundance if we're willing to sit with the discomfort of it. But we have to be willing to go through the eye of the needle of sitting through and being with ourselves through the discomfort before we can get to the other side of it, which is the spaciousness in which we can allow abundance and love and connection to arise. Okay? So the key here is, rather than trying to avoid pain, is instead to open ourselves up to being even more willing to go with the current of what is wanting to move through us. So rather than resisting the anger and suppressing it and trying to make it go away, which is only going to give it more power over you, instead invite that anger into your being, really feel into it, allow for it to take up as much space within you as it wants to take up, and ask it, how do you want to express yourself, anger? How do you want to express yourself, sadness? How do you want to express yourself, anxiety? What do you want to do? Do you want to scream into a pillow? Do you want to throw a temper tantrum on the floor? Do you want to belt a song at the top of your lungs? Do you want to watch a really sad movie and cry? Do you want to go for a run? Do you want to have a furious dance party? Do you want to turn on a voice memo and complain for 10 minutes straight? Do you want to write down all your complaints about life on a piece of paper and then burn it in the fire? Energy within me, how do you want to move through me? How do you want to express yourself? And how can I work with you? How can I move with the current of the energy that wants to unfold within me, rather than being in resistance to it and rather than working against it? So remember, it is not about trying to feel better. It is about learning to feel better. It is about being even more willing to allow your emotions, the energy in motion within you, to be exactly as it is in any given moment, without telling a story about why it should be different, which is always absurd. It's like me saying that there should be different clouds in the sky. That is absurd. I am a crazy person and I'm in resistance to reality, because there are exactly the clouds in exactly the formations that they're in the sky right now, and it doesn't mean anything about life that the clouds are the way that they are in the sky right now. Likewise, the energy within you is not bad or good or right or wrong. There's no such thing as it should or shouldn't be there. It just is. It's just reality. It's just the truth of what is alive within you. And it is absurd to say that the clouds in the sky should be different. And it is absurd to say that you should be feeling different than the exact way that you're feeling right now. So just know that the energy that's alive within you, it wants to be utilized. And it can be utilized and it can be channeled into something really good and nourishing and productive. And the energy within you is carving out so much space for more to come. And the fact that you're feeling what you're feeling, the fact that you're feeling sadness or anger or whatever it is good, because it means that you're willing to feel. And the more willing you are to feel the icky stuff of life, the more willing and the more open you will be to being able to receive the really good, juicy stuff in life as well. So there's my little rant for y'all. Hopefully that was helpful. Thanks for listening.